ntoma pa afra na wonum jadi ahodo a wodi wo my Ghana mu no ayeye pa.
Testing moments before and we have overcome them. We've gone periods of economic strain, transitions that have demanded much from our citizens and public servants alike. And Mr. Speaker, there's an African proverb that says, however long the night is, the dawn will break. Mr. Speaker, the dawn is breaking for Ghana. The moment we are in requires not only endurance but also action. It reminds us that renewal belongs to those who prepare for the morning while others still speak of and look back at the darkness. For Ghana today, that dawn is not a promise we must recite. It is a reality we must build into our institutions, into our economy, and in the ethics of responsibility we pass on to the next generation. So let us live each day mindful that the Republic is larger than any one political party, any office, any individual. This Republic belongs equally to the farmer, the trader, the teacher, the nurse, the artisan, the entrepreneur, the parliamentarian, and the young citizen, and the elderly retired personnel. Mr. Speaker, each of these people has a stake in our nation, and each one has a duty. Each has a claim on the future we're shaping together. Mr. Speaker, nations endure not because they are spared trial, but because their people refuse to surrender to trial. Ghana has been tested before. We did not surrender. We will not surrender now. And so with gratitude for how far we have come and with the resolve for the work ahead, I say, Mr. Speaker, the state of our nation is resilient, the state of our nation is renewing, and our nation is firmly in the hands of its people. Our nation is on the brink of takeoff, and so, ladies and gentlemen, passengers, fasten your seatbelts.
Our economy no emu ensemwa His Excellency John Dramani Mahama editu Jano say, hey, Mr. Speaker, Ghana economy no emu ayede papa say and onyama bana ho eno nti ene ye wokọ ama ahodo so a wonum fra wo frefre yeyan nie efri se eka ahodo kora na abandada na buragu ho na abeyantam oman yi komu ana ye hu de ye ho no se ye ka no yetuatua bi Eurobond monnom ne de keka ho nyina yetuatua bi ama se fix ene wona ekeka ho nyina ene wonum wureti Ghana economy na wo reti de ene onyamwom a enipa nyina ene age ho.
Just this year, after the New Year celebration on January 2nd, when people were still recovering from hangovers, we settled a US 709 million euro bond ahead of schedule. We settled a US dollar 709 million euro bond ahead of schedule, completing the US 1.4 billion in debt service that was meant for 2025. Mr. Speaker, and the world noticed, Fitch, Moody's, and Ghana's credit ratings, the first triple upgrade in many years. Mr. Speaker, Ghana's credibility is restored. Ghana is rising. The heaviest burden we inherited was a very high inflation rate, which was silently eroding every household's purchasing power. It peaked at 54.1% at the end of 2022, and it declined to 23.5% by the end of 2024. Mr. Speaker, we treated this with urgency. Through fiscal consolidation, stabilization, and disciplined monetary policy, inflation fell from 23.5% at the end of 2024 to 3.8%. Inflation fell from 23.5% at the end of 2024 to 3.8% over 13 consecutive months. January 2026. Mr. Speaker, and very interesting, food inflation, which had been the main driver of the upward pressure on inflation, fell by 26.6 percentage points.
African Court on Human and People's Rights asemnie bia ye wo ebibrem na won mo ehye se wonam sa asemnie bia no so ebebo omanfo eho bra na obi antietia wonfa ahodie so da niema wo won mo emefom emfa Mampani John Dramani Mahama enam sa ye so ede ato ebibrem aman empanimfo anim se won mo enso sa asemnie bia no asene na wo mo ni chidom said Yabaya ebetimi akoswa kwanani na edi asem na wahwe se omanfo fa ahudie begina brane na wo so na sene na watai court no achia na ene se atemu ahodo a court no de beba nyina no won mo fan to dem no obesha ase edi aye adwuma fei emra ne hwehwe ahodo ya ebata court no dwumadie ho won twentwa won nanse kra na won mo ebe free ne totoye ase na timi aboa ma court no afa ne ntuma pa efra ene judicial year ya wo mo epa ho ntuma na Mampani John Dramani Mahama kasadom ena wo srese nke betumi a wo ma ankrankra ene enwuma ahodo a won mo nhya ban ase no nya adwuma empemfa so no akwanya sade be ya won betumi ene sa African Court on Human and People's Rights no ebe hia bomu na timi aboa ama won mo nso asem bi ehia won ma na asa kire won so a watumi ade akọ wose ebremu court no ebo ne homodin na de aka ene se nkontabuo mapa faanye ne pepepe ye betumi ada ne ho ade ewo wonjumadie emu.
Ladies and gentlemen, I call upon African Union member states who have not yet ratified the protocol to please do so without delay. To my colleagues, heads of states in these countries, I assure you that you have nothing to fear from this court. I humbly ask all African nations and individuals to respect and implement the court's judgments in good faith, and to also make the declaration to allow individuals and non-governmental organizations direct access to this court. My father's political tribulations did not end with his detention after he wrote his unsolicited letter advising the head of state. He had to live in exile again for 13 years after another coup d'etat. But many others suffered even greater injustice and abuse of their rights and dignity. Many individuals have endured significant their lives. The Lumumbas, the Modlanis, the Sankaras, the Cabrals, the Prempes, the Yasantues, the Kabalegas, the Nyomas, Mandelas, and Bikos are all recognized as martyrs of the African Revolution. Had the African Court of Human and People's Rights existed earlier in our past, these grave instances of human rights abuses and injustice would have been a very important case for you to adjudicate. We would have secured justice against racist apartheid criminals, colonialists, and even our own oppressive African dictators who tortured and sent many of their countrymen to death, and countrymen and women to death. As I said earlier, all the nations on the African continent are each other's keeper, and I truly believe this. I also believe that each of us is a keeper of the dreams and hopes of our ancestors, hopes and dreams that they could not achieve. We've paved the way for their dreams to be realized, if not by us, then by generations succeeding us. Justice systems in Africa have strengthened over the past year. In Ghana, we're strengthening our own judicial systems. As I stand
na yet was so de Casiano Asomodia, Meka was say, said ye a wiase amanebo, ane a quanya ye fosso edi yon ho and como, a quanimpa, na chese, a tumiricano. Esafota se o my Ghana so etimi eka ho bie ene ye eba ententanfidie so nkomo ahodo a yedie na ye hwemu a ene ni nyina eyade a esafota se o my Ghana yenso yede ye ho eka ho eno enam so bi ama asoye ya wonum ehwe enkitahodie ene digitalization so ewo o my Ghana mu ene wonum ebo amane se wo ba Ghana ha no mu anka me ya ye se network problems ene boko babia wonum se ye network nye onkrase ahodo babi mpo wo hono mo a ebesi samre yinkron ketua mu no network no enya endru ho eno nti ebinom gye se wonum akofru dua ansa na watumi mpo abo amane anase watumi aye call ewo wonum mobile phone so eno enam so bi ama honorable Samuel Nate George ede tuja no wachire mu se wonum ebo won homoden pa se wobeboa ama network no ebia ko babia Ghana fa na babiada enkron ketua ne akese mu bia entokro babi biada mu wo mbehwe se network no ebi bewura ho na aban no egusu a obo modern pa ewo honom eno nti wode enyoma egu akwam se afi enko na wieye ene de ekeka ho ne de ene na enkron ketua ne ntokro babia mu network no ejina ne na so pa sei ana wakano.
Has stated it clearly. Ghana is on the runway. We're ready for takeoff. Fasten your seatbelts. A lot of work has been done in the communication sector. He spoke about the rural telephony work that's been done. As we speak, the teams are out on the ground, ensuring that we expand. Just 2 Mondays ago, the regulator, the NCA, put out new KPIs, which is immediately creating improvement in the network because the telcos have to invest critical capex to be able to meet the new benchmarks to avoid the fines. And so we're seeing improvements. That's going to take some.
Na said his Honorable Samuel Nate George ede to Jan wachire mu say His Excellency John Dramani Mahama na ni so ade hunu say wobetreni 1 million coders ewo omai Ghana mu na wonum ede abafo entintamfidie no ede juma na aboa pa ene computer yi wonum tena kira juma wonum de bedie no ebeye wo nwanwa eno eka ho bi ama Honorable Samuel Nate George ede to just say aban no centers bese 100 wo ha ena wonum abo aboden a abiebie na wonum de emfidie mapa ede kogumu na aboa ama coders 1 million no wonum atimi atreni wonum ewo man Ghana mu. His Honorable Nate George.
In that regard, we're ready to deploy over 20,000 devices across the country in over 100 learning centers in every part of the country, every region of the country. And so it's work in progress. The legislative review as well is on the way. So we're extremely excited about the future and what it portends for us. And we look forward to the leadership of His Excellency President Mahama. I'll tell you, on the 1 million coders, a lot of people have asked questions. It's a very detailed program. There's a committee that's headed by my deputy minister that is working towards an implementation committee. We've got 3 implementing agencies under the ministry, the GIFEC, CASE, Kofi Annan, and then the Accra Digital Center. They are all working under the auspices of the ministry. We've first and foremost had to make sure that we're doing a lot of the programs as virtual classes, online courses. We had to make sure that the certificates we're issuing are internationally verifiable. So the certificates from the likes of Google, from Microsoft, from Coursera, these are recognized certificates that can allow our grad ones work on remote jobs. So we've had to secure those. We've secured about 600,000 online certificates already, or certificated courses. Then we now had to build the structure for how we would deploy this. So what we are doing now is you've built a structure where in every learning center, we're going to be able to have 1,000 people, or they're going to be like 1,000 contact hours. So what we're doing is our learning centers are going to open at 8 and close at 5. So you'll have 8 to 10, 10 to 12. Between 12 and 1, the center will break for the administrator to be able to take some break and some refreshment. And then from 1 to 3, 3 to 5. So you basically have 50 devices per center running 4 streams. So that's 200 streams. For 5 days in a week, that's 1,000 streams. And so what we plan to do is to roll out both in a number of districts and a number of universities. We're looking at Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, the University of Ghana, as part of the first phase of phase 2 rollout. But our plan is this year 400,000 Ghanaians to be allowed to roll out and register. We do not want a situation where people are going to register and have to travel long distances. So we're opening centers in every district to ensure that people are able to. So there's a lot of work, but we're hopeful that in Q2 we'll roll this out fully across the country and everyone will be able to register.
Ofonse ayirebi mrashe bedani kojo opon kroma se wode nani ato fam ehunu se empepi no ya aseye hwe sikasam so tayi sika edema aban enwuma mensini ni kropon ahodo ema wono ede ye niema bia ukọ aban enhyehyeye emu wono enkrata wo makruchire efa oman no empuntu enhyehyeye National Development Planning Commission for ayeno a ya na sa enwuma no a wo yi hu sika no eni enkrata no enti wono ankasa tena se epese wode nsusuye bi komra hyebedwafie enti wo ko propose private members bill ya wobeto the Public Financial Management Amendment Bill 2026 na ekotomra hyebedwafie na yekrata so hyehyeye na mpanimfo eye ho adwuma ne wopesa wode eye nyina ne se wono nam sa krata so hyehyeye no so Ebesi Finance Minister Dr. Kasela to force kwan se ansa na obeyi sika ede ama mensiri kropon ena afi abanyuma ne atena ya hodo bi se wo mfa nhye bibi a wo yemu no agi se sampuntu nyuma no ehye National Development Planning Commission wono mo enhyehye mu anase ewo wo nkrata so eba ne sa ebeboa amade broni for accountability adwuma ye hu nkontabuo mapa etimi ada ne ho adim na fei pepe ye ne fanfan ye so atimi epie ewo my Ghana sikasem kan be wo mfo ye wo sikasem ne Ghana mpontu mu hia ye ena kwaje opon kroma kokasa ya wo kire se enhyehyɛ bi eda ho se no plan no cash enunti ena wono so pesa wode sa private members bill no eba na wo mu gina so kete se adwuma wo kwaye no ewo nhyehyɛ mu dia wode sika ne ma wo a eyeye
Committee, the Committee on the Economy and Development, the nickname we've given to this bill is the No Plan, No Cash bill. No plan, no cash. If it's not in the plan, you won't get any cash. And the specific loophole it seeks to close is that today there's room for ministries, departments, and agencies and metropolitan, municipal, and district assemblies to embark on projects or programs which are not exactly emergency projects or programs, but projects or programs that are as though they are part of their normal work, except that they have not been certified under the National Development Planning Commission's plan, which they would have received from the ministries, departments, and agencies. And so this amendment seeks to deny the Ministry of Finance the opportunity to fund such projects and programs. This is separate from contingencies or emergencies that may come up. But for regular programs and projects that have not been included in the strategic plan of the MMDA or the MDA to get certification, the object of this amendment bill is to deny funding for it until such a time that it is thought of, captured, and certified as part of the National Development Planning Commission's program. The reason is that also from our experience in government and looking at the loopholes that exist today, there is room and there is a practice where a lot of money is spent on projects that are deemed important by the heads of these institutions, but these projects have not been included in the strategic plan and certified by the NDPC. Our hope is that we will find the best way to close this loophole so that every cedi that is spent of our limited resources is in pursuance of the National Development Plan, which would have been certified by the NDPC.
Wajo upon kroma anusi ya pe ena Camilo Puaman, our Deputy Clerk of Parliament, wano ena esha one more emra. Anyone to nyina so one also ade beto so say one more yesa amendment bill no ayen sakra ye e krata so hyehyɛ no mu a ade ba akwa obɛhwɛ de aye adwuma ene sanye se bia wo yisika ede ma MMDC sahodo no a bibia na wo matutu mrika ba mpanimfo nkyɛn se esanse mpuntu nwuma ye kwɔye ne hyɛn enkrata mu nti mumma yesika na emom mbɛhwɛ se afia no sika no ombeje ye no baabi omode aye adwuma edro nyina wode ho report bebre mpanimfo ansana one more qualifies so this sika from our edeko.
By amending the PFM Act, the bill would, among other things, make development plans duly approved by the NDPC the mandatory basis for the preparation of the annual budget. It also requires publication of annual progress reports as a precondition for the inclusion of estimates in the budget and for the issuance of expenditure warrants. It seeks to empower the Minister for Finance to withhold funding from non-compliant entities. And it also seeks to ensure that releases from the DACF is tied to NDPC approved plans and progress reports. The ultimate objective, therefore, is to enrich a disciplined, coherent, and accountable public financial management regime in which planning precedes budgeting, and budgeting drives expenditure, and every cedi spent demonstrably advances Ghana's national development priorities as enshrined in the Constitution and the National Development Plan. Your collective wisdom, operational experience, and constructive critique at this forum will be invaluable in ensuring that the financial legislation is not only constitutionally sound and technically robust, but also
Ora Rashid Draman, our also Executive Secretary, Yawada Africa Center for Parliamentary Affairs. Asepa anom edina no eto sankomodie mu bi. Ena wokyere here say empanimfo pone amanyosem every National Development Planning Commission for dwumadie ho. Na etimi aboa ama won matena se edi nsusuya edo ekwa ekyire aba edi afọ man Ghana mpuntuo ho. Na abre bia ekwakoye amanyosem a asam no won account ho de na nso obia ba no abesakra no eba ne sa emwa oman no enkyekire.
The NDPC's role is critical here. But I hope, honorable members who are here, my dream is that one day we'll get to a point where this National Development Planning Commission is really a technical commission that we all hope it should be, devoid of all the politics around it. How do we get to a point where, any government that comes into power can work with the commission that exists? Then we can have continuity, the politics of this, because I know it's going to take away some powers. And many years ago, we tried in this country to help Parliament to set up the Parliamentary Budget Office. And that was when Speaker was majority leader. A bill was prepared, it was taken to cabinet, but there were feelings that some of the powers of the Minister of Finance were going to be curtailed. And here I see things like Common Fund, the administrator, the Minister of Finance. I hope maybe there have already been some behind the scenes engagement to make sure that
Yemfa wompiemu ewo enkran pumpuni mantemu na yekopiemu ewo enkran pumpuni mantemu a ayawaso east ehonum abato mpasia ne so na yedewo ekopie na yewramu wo honum a enchepi na wonum emra se bedwani efrimu na aba abetodwa na ebrabam se wonum to aba na woyi obi a obekọ akosi na nam ewo mrase bedwafie na no enam so bi ema NDC wonum eko abato so se de beya wobetumi anya obi a wobegina wonum anam eno na ekuo bi a wonhya abayase wato won hodin Democracy Hub wonum se hwe ekwan a NDC wonum nya wana musini ewo sa empasua ne so no amfamra kwan so wonum edi sikasam edi efiafia ho se ye monetization na wonum eyeye se yemfa sika enkodi tumi ene wonum baji TV baji wei ne nyina eye monimsem eno nti watabiri asem no ekopie mu ewo enkran pumpuni mantam mu high court na wodi kopie mu wo honum na nei court no ekọ asetena na wo kire se no ensam na Democracy Hub wonum ede ba ne de wahu se mo wadwen papa ede ta kire na mom ensam na mode ba ne nyina ensuo bia nyinam enti wontumi enyi ntum entena so court abo ensam no agu na wopanimpa ya wotena asam ne so eye Justice Akwasi Ageni Mboaten wono enebo ensam ne gu ye na wo kire se Democracy Hub enkamo wadwen pa mo pese mo boa ma o man ne tumpon na enso ensam a mode nam ne de sebi ensuo bia nyinam anu nti yegitum wa hanom ne edi ho asem a enye yie na democracy hub wonom de wo panyina ne se enka isi no entwentwen abato ne so kra eni kwan se wo hwe ema abato no ekoso nanso court abosa ensem nagu ebra lawyer Oliver Baka Vemawo edi nkomo no sei ena wo kafa ho.
Not to be ruled by procedural justice. The court has determined that because two of the reliefs we asked out of 12 are asking for Shirara and Mandemus, we should go under Order 65. We had disagreed, but we understand. I mean, they brought 3, objections. The court ruled 2 in our favor and 1 for them. Whatever the case may be, it doesn't foreclose the matter for us. I think that there are different and many avenues to continue to challenge this point. It has become part of our commitment and our clients' democracy have commitment to ensure that the way in which we conduct our elections, the things that we allow, particularly the monetization of elections, is no longer part of Ghana's democracy. We will continue to pursue that. We intend to bring another application, whether before the elections, even after the elections are conducted. This is a matter that the firm is already providing presentation to eminent persons like Professor Obrempong in the Supreme Court regarding the way in which our political parties are organized in our democracy. So it's a matter that we'll continue to pursue.
So in respect of this leg of the case, the elections are tomorrow?
Tomorrow, the elections are tomorrow. A person doesn't reveal all the stones they stand on. But let's just say that if no application is filed between now and 3 p.m., that the elections will continue. Yeah.
The court also commended you for the advocacy that Democracy Hub is championing in relation to election matters. What's your take?
I mean, I think that I have always believed that, our cause stand at the function of the health of our democracy. And I must commend the judge for the painstaking arguments when we appeared before the court, I think last Thursday or Friday, that we had ample time. We argued this back and forth. The court was interested, several questions. And so I'm not surprised that the court has reached such a rich decision. It's not every time that the court doesn't agree with you that you cannot appreciate the reasoning of how the judge got to that point. And we're also grateful for the court standing the public interest in the matter and why citizens must.
Well, Sansem no Papabi today, yeah, no and share abato ho and sensem so wo NDC, wonum amanyokonum so edin semne bi atuja.
We are grateful to the court. We are so much grateful. See, we have worked a lot in the constituency. As we speak now, we are just in the final stage, preparing to do our final deployment for tomorrow. So this comes as a relief to us because we know we are winning tomorrow. We are going to win with massive victory, and the gap is going to be wide. So we're praying that we should have victory today, so that all that we have worked over the period, the 3 weeks we've been in the constituency, will not come to now. Thankfully, our lawyers have done a very good job. We have to congratulate them for putting up a spirited fight to make sure that this brigade has been dismissed, to pave way for us to have the election. We are grateful to the court and our lawyers as well. Well, we have already set up a committee to come out with implementable recommendations. And now we have a 7-man committee dealing with the matter. And so we have already put in action, in motion, to deal with matters of that nature. And then, so therefore, as a political party, that's why I'm saying the NDC is the best political party that you can see as of now in Ghana. Because we are facing it head on. Such an issue. We know it's a big issue in our Ghanaian politics as of now. But it is only NDC who is facing it and trying to resolve the matter. Our opponents have incorporated that action into their own life. And they are the people who are destroying our democracy. While NDC is trying to sanitize it, they are destroying it. And then so we are facing it, and we are going to do that now. What steps will you take to stop them from incorporating that into the system? Well, that's why the media is there. If the media is there, you have to continue to expose them. We just saw it in their 31st January election, what they did over there. It's an institutional matter in their party. They don't care. That's how they are. And so you have to continue to expose them. The NDC said no. You set a committee, and the committee is working as a single.
Ora, what's in Rashid Tanko computer. We are in Semno and Dr. Gideon Abochi, one also a lawyer pa ya waka NDC amanyoko no wonum legal team no waka ho bi. One also din semne bi etoso.
Learning at the bar is that where the law has laid down a certain procedure that is to be followed for an action to commence, only that procedure shall be followed. In this action, Democracy Hub is basically asking the court to quash the decision of the EC declaring the NDC candidate as a winner because of the issues of vote buying and others that we all noticed in the videos that went viral. So basically, that is a request to the court to quash an administrative action. Okay, and that's asking that it's basically going to the court for a request of certiorari. And per our rules and per our learning, to go for such requests, you must go with an originating motion. But in this case, he came with a writ action. So we came to the court asking the court that the commencement procedure is wrong ab initio, and as such, the whole action must be thrown out. That's why you listen to the judge in his analysis. He was clear that where the procedure is laid down that this is what must be done, only that must be done. And the interest of the people. What is the interest of the people in this matter? So you realize that the judge took his time to analyze the concept of capacity and how to sustain action. And he said that where capacity is wrong from the beginning, every other thing collapses.
Our Accra High Court and Semi so and Yebe Chinchen so na Yako Akoji Ahomis Su Abba Yebasisia.
Yebema ashefo nyina kwa babiem esan dia bafache TV so enwumre no nsien yakase ayato din se prime time ene eguso na yebe ede esommoyi mo afie mu baabi a mo hwe yen efiri bia yento ensam no eswen baya afe pepe penie ena nana odamu jamfi ya wotoso miensa wono ena ye omanhene ewo akroso esukoko ya wo Kaakyire East mensinimu ewo oti mantemu wade ade sra eto mpanimfo anim se no kwasem ni kuro no mu ho no sa wo ba anyem na ebreso sa wo kwa wo so a na ho nsem akwakoye pinso frise baabi a wono mode emma apemfo kọ eje won ma wo ma wo fa wo ho fa wo ba no wono mu anibi ewo won mu kuro num enti ama apomde gia papa de Emma pemfo ne woma womunya bi ewo wonmu ekronum enti wode sa desre etu dwa no Edru Lordina Foundation a oba pani Maame Lordina Dramani Mahama eda anono anim ema wonmu tietia so ekọ ekrono so wonmu akwakosi maternity ene children's health facility kokroko amena no memeneda Maame Lordina edi animu ewo Kaakyire East District oti region ama wabia no kama etwa ahomam adane ede ama omanfo no na wasi wei ebeboam ama emma apemfo apomuden ene won moma wo so apomuden etimi afa ne ntuma pa efra na wuyi de won mo akoye ho adwuma ewo akroso asukoko traditional area no eto nchen a miensa enso wo ho a beye na woche entemuani Maame Lordina Mahama and Lordina Foundation aka battery mu ena afe wono mo aboafo a ewa ma no nyina sika nkakra ya wotete eto ho no wono ede asisie na wadane akire ede Ghana Health Service ewo oman Ghana emu na eniama hodo ya ewo saa esukoko maternity center no mo no enya asem ketwa wose ebetimi aboa ama apomuden je papa ya ehotie apomuden adwumayefo no edibi ama emam one more ebeko saa atenaye ho na reception area ewo ho consulting rooms eka ho maternity and a children's ward ewo ho bia one more chese operation center ye no nso fidi akentena wam ya wode ebe papa mai 7 preduasa de ono anka sentiment enchem na sese wo ye no operation ni nyina wo mo de bi akogu ho delivery room ewo ho sterilization room ye no nso emfidie wo ho a enwuma ene ade a wono mo ye wo ho nyina ho mfidie wotimi de kogu ho na wono mo asiesie no kama na assign esini dada mu biem neonatal intensive care unit and a storage any data rooms na empano am was ya sabia na se apomden je atanaye no was say electric bed and ya progoni say ya na man da so a wo mo afili gbenze hu se niema ekoyie operating tables infant incubators ultrasound machines C-section and delivery kits ECG machines and a phototherapy unit patient monitors oxygen system and a hybrid power system one more chance say ECG Emma and Kaniano na one more say fa e kwa bi so a wode solar energy e ka ho bi na brebia eduje bia no etimi enyankanea ede asom ebra wo twa ahomemu na wodane saa ayasa bia no achi ede amasu kokko traditional area no maami Lordina Mahama ede tudwa se ankane no na emma tu kwan brofo kwansini tentententente ansana awo kan wonmo a wo manya baabi akowo eno nti ena watu anamo a etiseye
major distances for medical care. Pregnant mothers were carried on cloth over poor roads, arriving at distant facilities too late. Sometimes it was too late to save a life. Families were losing mothers and babies, not because of disease, but because of the right facility was too far away. At the time we received the mail, the Lordina Foundation was planning to expand health infrastructure in an underserved community.
Mame Lordina Mahama so echere se ade ba ko a eni kwan se empanimfo so wo Ghana ha ene se oba eko awo so na sebi obehire ne nkwa obi kura hire ne nkwa na ne ba no so afiri mu anya saa so oba tan ne kɔ na aka akwada no emfa ho ne ekurokura oba no afiri mu no esese wotimi enya apomdenje papa ebe na boboa no no awo afa ne ho afa ne ba.
Each facility reflects our belief that no woman should die while giving birth, and that no child should begin life without proper care, simply because of where they were born. This new facility has been carefully designed to serve mothers and children with dignity and excellence. It includes a reception and waiting area, a doctor's office, nurses' offices, a children's ward and maternity ward, a fully equipped operating theater, a delivery room, a sterilization room, and a neonatal intensive care.
Also for our shop de ho sem so kwabna menta akandom ebo mame Lordina Mahama ne Lordina Foundation abaso se mami wade ema yedie enkwada yedie esi nani so ya wo bo won makonua sanyina so na de waye no na no memne da ne kire se nye na no anu odeka se nani kuma ene emofra yedie hu ne momoto na mopa na wase we no abani bremu ya wogidi se ebeboa ama apomden afa ne ntuma pa efra ewo omai Ghana emu.
This word will help ensure that when labor begins unexpectedly, when newborn requires urgent attention, or when the child becomes acutely ill, care is closer, safer, and more reliable. This commission aligns with the Ministry of Health's quality-focused free primary health care initiatives which seeks to remove financial barriers and make essential services consistently available at the first point of care. It also reflects the collaborative approach we require, including well-structured public-private partnership that support infrastructure, equipment, maintenance, and service innovation while safeguarding quality and accountability.
Yetwa kasiene so ewo duampompo. Na duampompo eye kurokuma bi ya ewo Asante Mantam. Adanse asokwa mansini no emu. Na ukopiemu wo hono mo a ene empanimfo a wonum wo kurom ho. Wonsunu egujempa efrisa biaye aboma. Ekotena se na wosua de age ntetiye. Na wonum ede ekowonim wo sukuu no mu no. Eyade a enso ani kura enso ani. Sukuu dan no na chese o empanimfo ebo amane a aye death trap. Wan hwe ya wani bete no na adwurakum emofra pii no a eboduampompo. Ano nti wonum ede to mpanimfo ene aban anim se womra na womaye duampompofoɔ adom se de beya wonum betumi apagya edan de asi ho na aboa ma sukuufoɔ enso atimi anya baabi atena asuade se de His Excellency John Dramani Mahama ekan ye ebo emrahye bedwafie na ano no wonum na ejina so ede asre no se wonto nani na sukuu ahodo a wose wo besi ade atwa oman Ghana ho ahia no woma duampompo so enka ho bi na ebra wopanyin pa ya wono na wokɔ piemu duampompo a yefre no Nana Kwaku Ofori wotoso miensa wo hempopra wo butu ho de adesre yi eto mpanimfo anim.
Adanse Asoka district na yene wo adanse duampompo na yesre se sisi a wo be se nsama ifaye na yesuku dan nyina so afa na se de esi akwa na aya homete ne mum so ohwe se ne esitie no ensuo mu na ya klase nkola no obi afa ba bi afa ne danzo de akwa no so no nyame amoyen a obi ebitumi abu abo obi nti yesre aban yesre DC honorable Gordon Senadaroma ono wo ya ha nti omo modin ase obeyi nani de abeboa yen na aban so mrem na omo nipa mere se ni school city na enbiase se Ghana sabe we se de aban no si bo modin ni school sem ti se ya enbiase de sra ban so omo modin ase obebem no aba classes be mi nsani na so afa ema kigi dan kwa de ebu fom de sra ban se omo modin afna ni me na omo boa yen na sabe we ya ku ani de yen guase makro no any district no any important say any mre na we asisi ko na down to say school dan say any yes saban so maboy na ono so no betumi aboy kwa fu bi ani ba bia na de ye disraban oda wo ma hanmo MP ni Gordon ono MP midindi Nana Kwaku Ofori a metoso nyensa Nana Kwaku Ofori a metoso nyensa
yadi ani echre esutifi anafo abato mpesua so ahafomantemo ono onyamfo Collinzalda ena yemrahye bedwanim na woni DC ye won potemu ho onyamfo Asabil donko aka abomu ama legacy project ahodo binom ya wonmo ebeto ye na wafrase asiesie na wawie ni nyina no wonmo kwa akotwa homam adane ama enyuma yi ya wonmo akoye ho adwuma no eye Mehame maternity and nurse accommodation 3-unit classroom blocks ya wonmo si ewo kwaku nyuma ene akyerensua na ebra omonyamfo Collinzalda kasa no na wokyere sa de ba ko ha adwene pa ne se aban bi befiri mpuntu nyuma ase na wofiri aban mu a fofra wo beba no obebu nani egu sampuntu nyuma no so no obegya no ma na ka nwura mu ensu oto a ebro no ewe ebo a na ehye no na kyerɛ sɛ aban sika ya wodi frase no ne nyina eye aye wo hawo na wɔn mu de anya de a wɔbɛyɛ saade ni bi enyuma ya MPP aban egya to ho nyina wɔn masan ya besom no wɔbɛhwɛ asiesie fi sɛ wenum da mampani John Dramani Mahama akoma so a wɔn nyina eka bomu na waboa sɛ de bɛyɛ legacy project ahodo yɛ wɔasutifi no wɔn mu ɛbɛyɛ awie
2016 ye be free akonya so no ne si school that say si a ewo Kwaku nyuma after 2016 obi ankoda no saso ena menhia no bankesiem eno say 6 classrooms ya boss wa ye bibia yetu yegu ye no obi ankoda no akawiram chip compound ICC ye ni nyina akawiram ene o man penyo o man o say sa projects ni nyina yenkowi ene ya wie kwaku nyuma de ene wie bankesiem de no ene ye ba be wie wo mo so dia o mo ye no hwe ensoso ya eda aban ni mienu ntam MPP for the buy no mo say ye de na ye no wo mo ntoa so no nwa ye eno mo anye bi so ankam
DCE ya won potem ho nmonyamfo asabil donkonso edeto nananom ene omanfo etete sankro ya omawi adwuma ni nyina wo mu no anim se wo mommo ho ban won hwe so ye na ache ama wonom se de be ya sika ya aban ede hye mu no nso emfaso ebeba so
mahami ya japade yesi ya bi ni yesi ma head director ne mpan bu a ni ja ye ni e dia mo mo ese na ni wa chiame de bi o ti ba toto be na nti ya he se eda no obi afa bibi ye no a eda isu wa nyina se ku ja mo sa na obi de da go ka be san ho a wa hai ibu o so na awu bi kura bi kemu amu ti me na ma bi se sekete da ma ai ko ku mo ga zo mo da no o ha bo zan go fu bi akwa sekete wa chi mo da mo ya o enya sa ko fu na ye ti me sasra sa ko bo mo ti ma be da
Yentoa kase ne so emfama efafi enkrofo enkroso yenhye amahodo so ensem ahodo a ene yensa ka no na ukopie mu ewo Middle East Iran asem ena ye kan United States of America USA ya Kojo Trump eye wonum mampanyin ene Israel wonum aka won ho bom ene wonum atoto atopa ya ahodo pa ena wonum atoto ede agu Iran eso na ukopie mu abo Iran Ghana adehye ya wonum abo sa empotemu ho Middle East nkro ahodo a ewo honom ne bie United States United Arab Emirates ene Kuwait Bahrain ena Qatar Ghana for adehye a wonum akodi nsenseme ewo honom enam sa topaye kodiewo ya USA ene Israel etoto ewo mantamu ho ntino wonum ekura hrenhren bonum ensuno egujempa eno namso bi ama obepiemu ebo my Ghana Ministry of Foreign Affairs wonum ebo amane se wo bo won homodin pa na wodin siseye agu akwam se de be ya Ghana de sia wonum akodi sa biaye ni nyina wobetumi apa baabi ama wonum asie se de be ya won ho enkoto chema bi anase topaye bi enkoka wonum eno nti wonum abo amane a kire se biaye bi wo honom a eni kwan se Ghana adehye wonum etu anamo se wonum ko eni kwan se Ghana adehye wonum efa ehyen se wonum firi kura wo so ekoba bi foforo ewo mantama ahodo a wonum ewom ewo Middle East ho won hwe se wobebo won ho ban na wobo won ho adwa pa se de be ya bambo mu nsem ebetimi akoyie ede ama wonum na Ghana ban ene wonum anamusifo ya wonum wo sa enkronkro ahodo iso no wonum etu kese pa said ye beya Ghana ban ehihye ye hodo a wo hihye no ebetumi aso Ghana aman adehye so ewo Iran ene ne mpotemu ahodo nyina ya ekeka ho na Ghana ban ebo amane se akwan hodo a wodi agu honom no bi ene se enche kura wobehwe se won a ewo honom no de wo ka kire won se won hwe na won krata hodo a ebo wonum ama wotumi etu kwan no wonye no ready wonye no krado pa ye bi te se o passport da bia o passport da bia hwehwe na FCA se de be ya Ghana ban enhwehwe ya hodo a wo hwehwe no etumi ebamu se de wo hwehwe no no a woso betumi anya akwanya bi na yafa o afiri honom ede wo bepie mu wo man konkono Ghana mu na de ekoso no Ghana ban de ono wonfoa so na ninje ho kra na dehye eho na wo dwene eno nti wo bo modern bia se na dehye wo honom no wonum ebetumi ahye na wayi wonum afiri ho ogusua ebo amane akire mu se ukopie mu ebo embassy ya ebo Tehran wonum hwe se empanyimfo a eye adwuma wo honom nyina wofa wonum de wonum afiri ho nanso wagya enipa no bi wo honom a wono na eye nhihye ahwe se nipa hodo a wonum ye Ghana adehye ya wopie mu wo honom no wobetumi anya bambo soronko se de be ya Ghana ban nhihye hodo a wo hihye no ebetumi agina brane na awie mudie ama wotumi afa Ghana adehye a wonum ewo Middle East abepie mu ewo my Ghana asomdwe mu eno eye nhihye a Ghana ban ede egu akwan mu numbers ahodo a egu screen ne so no eno eye empanimfo a wo honum se wo pese ofre na wonum ede wusie na wotumi enya kwan ede mawo se de be ya wo befa wonum ede afiri wo man mu a wo so ubetumi aka ho bie eno nti ubetumi afre enhoman ahodo a egu wo screen no eso no na enya nwumre ya Donald Trump wono so ede na no to nsem ne bi akasa ede afa eho Donald Trump ensem sei bi na waka ede afa wonum anamontu a watu ewo Iran so no
attempt to rebuild at a different location because they were unable to use the ones that we so powerfully blew up, but they ignored those warnings and refused to cease their pursuit of nuclear weapons. In addition, the regime's conventional ballistic missile program was growing rapidly and dramatically, and this posed a very clear, colossal threat to America and our forces stationed overseas. The regime already had missiles capable of hitting Europe and our bases, both local and overseas, and would soon have had missiles capable of reaching our beautiful America. The purpose of this fast-growing missile program was to shield their nuclear weapon development and make it extraordinarily difficult for anyone to stop them from making these highly forbidden by us nuclear weapons. We were the ones that were complaining. We were the ones that wanted it stopped, but everybody was behind us. They just didn't have the courage to say so. An Iranian regime armed with long-range missiles and nuclear weapons would be an intolerable threat to the Middle East, but also to the American people. Our country itself would be under threat, and it was very nearly under threat. I was very proud to have knocked out the Iran nuclear deal by President Barack Hussein Obama. That was a horrible, horrible, dangerous document. They would have had nuclear weapons 3 years ago, and they would have used them. But I'll not let that happen. For almost 47 years, this regime.
Yeah, free White House. Yeah, sign abedru fie. Yeah, nam penny for a casa some and penny pat nipan a penny wasem. A some etini fie din ordinance sum na no wa dwene ne ho a. Na nipa akwaka asem ene e basa na asem so bufu a ene wo no bechi ayam ene sen owra bi e wa asante mantam ha ni dian kasa ye shada kamu ye Isaac Buafo eno ani dian woni no ose wo no ode to no no ankasa ba ne ho samra na seduaboken na no akoyi ni ka akoka asem bi dia fa asante mantam process adom no ehu nipa bi ho amene Ashanti Regional Police Command ache no na samuwa wakanye na prosifo esusu se ebetimi edi ehu ene patabiribiri abo manfo enu achi wasan edi gu prosi adwumako ne ho fin wotremu a edura nadwo a asafo ho se wasoma prosifo se wonmo nkwa night patrol a prosifo makomako nan bi eniema wonmo ye no asafo no ensem fata esu ne ban bi a womo da no adie no enya a won de na yonkufo ne wo muntu onim ni nyina pefe na prosifo the statement aba ansa na no duaboken ne nsam ya wo kan ye nam so men na prosifo a kire no ye nhwe bie
Umbe hey meaning Mr. Les Kumasi Central Police Station o woni Mr. Poku o mo hwe me ene Mr. Adu Jesus so come for so on katira no asawo group bi en wo say about TikTok mo e ba WhatsApp mo hook up Ghana bia group bia Mr. Les Mr. Usu Mr. Du Central Police Station Kumasi God have mercy upon us say go from bomu din no asawo group bia omo hook up bia o wiasim bia say yan kwala Miss Mama bedimna mtu aka omo ebu akura na Mr. Les oni mi ba asawo go minister in charge I was
Opa chana. Na me nyina mama say Mr. Alex minimum.
Na so woni wo kan sab kuo no ho an.
Da bi ba na no. Me say Central Police Station Mr. Alex help me pa wo hwe me da bia. Hey. Wo ba shama she wo so fi. And then I got your police for skills to wash our metro. Police. On say, a doing that, but don't want an answer on pick up black one is one, a master light. They try them, yam. Who's the police for the Babelia? I won't come here 6. Who knows? They could see for us after one go, dear, shall not 2, I say. Ha! And don't you know our friend Jack, you. You have to kind of for another 2 years. One more is Abedi, but actually, eh? What I could pass off. And the one is on board by. Maybe I have a baby one, but when I pray for cars when I say out, and I give one. Beckham will be anti. Driver net to Busy no other. Hey, in Santa Catarina, shall channel. We are not much over to back on the man of the government on the agenda on my or corporate or Zudi. Minimum security. I'm no one at the minimum.
Okay, anti Diabokin as a waffle. Nasema wakan ye enie nene akodin senseme e Washington Regional Police Command empanimfo ensemu na prosifo se wo matoto duaboken ano ebisa ne se nsemi a wo kan nyina ye kwadu e na wode ebo sa prosifo yi frise se wo soma wo mo so mo nkoya na jujuma na sei na won mo ye dia na sefata sempanimfo ye nhwehwemu no mo kra wo twe so enti na danse pa ne sen duaboken asema wo kan ne sen ne nsem na wo kan ye nyina danse bia ni hu na we no why a content creator ya wo ye video eton serewa edi egu abefontentan video so TikTok ne emiamia aka said ye be ya wo be twe traffic aba ni page ne so na nkrofo abehwe obenya views bebre eba ne sa so na ne sika emu ado na engagement no akọ animu ama no ntina sam no dia wa kanso oni adanse bia wasaje atom se na nse wa kekansem binom so dia fama mpani ho ya ni nyina ya content creation enti wontimi entwitwa enye ne ho de adro ne de na kire se de obeka ne se ade no oyeye no eyemfonso na wonim se wo ye content creation na wonim se ebeba ne se enti apostifo agina wono ankasa na no asem so ana wode ne kwadu asafata abo no se wonkoso ana wonmo kukumumwa ema nhwehwemu nkoso wonmo nam won kratai so ebo manfo nyina kokose sa social media no aba no a enu nti obia sore a na waka asamu a enimu edigu obi hu fi no manfo nya hwe ye na Ghana Police Service so wo mani de da fom wo maso so de da fom wonia wotesa waka asem bi a enimu ana wodi bibia to social media no ochewa Ghana mra ene ubedi na duaboken de na abai na no ekoyi ni kanti odi wakodi senseme e wa prosifo akache a make say woda so a ewo ho na won mo emma ne bail. Ebusia ha ene yade kase ni nyina esie Millennium Construction ene ho aseda eye ne dia won mo ne boye nchidom yade kase besomo ba bia wo pesa wo to asase e wo Ghana ha asase ne tatrete se de tie bia no Millennium for ene bedi wakagina mu no apabi ato ama wo asase ne bidada na pesa wo ton so fa ko hye Millennium for nsa na wo mo anton na beju sika fa ko di ujuma wo asase no wo still dream house esiso na unim contractor wo betumi asi dreams ama na ya reality a Millennium Construction American fortune Kumase Boshen na ya junction e ho na won mo wo fa numbers no egu screen ne so no na ene mpanimfo entwetwe nkomo ha no fa construction ho nko ade a won mo ene beso mu na wasom wo yie na wani gye awie wo peye won mo nti ene beso mo kase mu da bia da ma kenkanfo eye me AFIA twumwa ketri mene
Obrempong akwasi jeboa
yada mu nyina se emamumu ene